I don't think I've ever been building as much as I am right now. Obviously, AI has been helping a lot, especially because I have like 4 other jobs. Yes, YouTube is one of them. Running my company is one of them. Managing all of the other companies I work with is one of them. And I do a lot. So it's surprising I can build it all, much less how much I've been building. And this has been super fun. I don't think I've ever enjoyed building software as much as I do now. These agentic tools make it so easy to do lots of things at once, at scale, and build things that I never would have imagined. I have Lawn, which is my new video review tool meant to replace Frame so we can get Adobe out of our lives. I have Shoe, which is a new way to do auth across your projects because having a lot of auth setups across things is annoying. This isn't meant to be the greatest auth library ever. It's meant to unblock you so you can get back to work by just having a simple Google sign-in button. I have T3 Canvas, which is my new image editing tool that I'm actually hoping to merge a lot of into T3 Chat eventually. But more importantly, it's something I use every day for everything from icons for the projects I'm building to concepts for thumbnails that I'm working on. It's really useful. And then this one that will take a bit before I can share more, the FS2 CLI. This is my attempt at doing file syncing on a lower level. And yes, this whole project is written in Rust. I also have 2 Swift projects I'm working on. I've been contributing to a ton of stuff. I've just been building and touching more shit than ever. So what's the problem then? Why are you watching a video that is meant to be about the issues that I'm having with this? Clearly it's working, right? No. In fact, the problems I'm having were so great that I took the time to sit down and write an article to complain about it. I've been thinking a lot about these UX problems, and apparently others have too, which is why this post got 1.2 million views and everybody from Microsoft execs to vibe coders reacting to it. I have a lot to say about these UX problems. I've been thinking about them a ton, and I might actually have some solutions in mind as well. Do you know what doesn't have any of these problems though? Today's sponsor. You've already heard about today's sponsor, Sentry, but you might not have heard about the features I'm here to talk about because I hadn't until I talked to the team. The new Sentry agent dashboard is unbelievable. I really wish I had the setup for T3 Chat. I'm probably going to go do it when I'm done filming because it's so genuinely useful. If you're building with agents, you know that things don't always go right. Maybe when you write code, you know what the error cases are and you can easily trace where the error came from. But when an agent can call arbitrary tools in an arbitrary order with arbitrary failure rates, good luck debugging that. Imagine if you could just see into those agent runs with 5 lines of code. Kind of sounds unbelievable, and I struggled to believe it until I saw it here. It's so cool. This project is a bunch of agents that are running with the observability through OTel on, but we can click any one of them and see what it looks like. So here is a request that had 48 errors, 2 LLM calls, 1 tool call, and 29K tokens generated. You can even see how much it cost. And if we click on it, we get so much useful information from a real trace. So this one was wrapping Claude code. Yes, you can wrap Claude code with this and see all the tool calls it makes on a request. Here you can see over time which tool calls happened, how long they took, what happened as a response to that, all of the agents and sub-agents that were invoked as part of this request. This is so useful. You can see how many tool calls happen a day broken down by which tools are being used, how many tokens are being used by various models, how many LLM calls are happening for each of those models, error rates, and all of these things that are really annoying to find and figure out. Take it from somebody who's been trying to debug weird search tool call loops for a minute now. This stuff is so useful. All you have to do is set up the init call and turn on experimental telemetry wherever you're calling one of the generate functions in the AI SDK. They have this for a bunch of other languages, tools, and SDKs as well. This is what we use. And I'm probably going to go set this up now. Don't wait till things go wrong. You'll want these traces when they do. Get them now at soydev.link/sentry. The UX problem with agentic development. In order to understand this problem, I think we have to go back in time. A really, really long ways back 2 months ago, because this shit's been changing fast. This is what my setup would look like most of the time that I was working, for most of the time I've been writing code. I would have my terminal open with my dev server and some tab open for Git. I would have my IDE open with a workspace set up for the thing that I'm working on. And I have my browser open with 1 tab in localhost and 1 tab in GitHub. So here's a rough idea of what my setup used to look like. I had my terminal where I have my dev server here, and I have this empty one that's for Git stuff generally. So like Tig to see my Git history, all the usual stuff. Then I have my browser, which has the dev environment, and usually I have GitHub up for the same thing. So here's the GitHub repo for the same project. And then I have my editor where I'm actually writing code. In this case, I'm writing all my code in Markdown files. But this is roughly what my setup would look like the majority of the time I was developing. And honestly, it's not too bad. If I do the 3 figures up, you can see here are the surfaces that are split across this piece of work. When I'm working on this project, I have 1 editor, 1 browser, 1 terminal with 2 tabs. All fine and sensical. None of this is that bad right now. But what happens if I'm working on two things at once? Okay, let's try it. Maybe we do another set of tabs in here. Okay, but which one am I in at any given time? That's annoying. I'm a big Tmux guy, so I used to set up Tmux with different workspaces for the different projects. But then if I wanted two different things, like maybe I want to break this Git terminal or this dev terminal out to full screen, does that get a new tab? Maybe tabs aren't the right way to do this. Maybe I break this up into different windows for each project. Maybe this one will be for T3 chat, and this window will be for LAN. Okay, what about the browser though? Do we make new browser windows for the different projects, or do I make different tabs? How do I get to the right GitHub tab? How do I manage the back and forth between all of this? And then when I have two different projects in my editor, how do I know I'm in the right one? I've seen everything from people color coding their VS Code and Cursor instances to doing crazy stuff with their workspaces on their computer. And I'm here to tell you none of that works. Here's a fun thing. Let's just try moving things to a new desktop. Here's desktop 3. I'll move this terminal over. We'll manually open up VS Code here with the code command. Now I have those two. Let's do the browser. Command tab to heal. Oh, it just moved me to the wrong place. I'll go back over, Command N. Now it's making a terminal. How do I get a new browser here? Great question. You have to go down to your dock, which I never use, right click, new window. Cool. Kind of works. What's even more fun is if you do this and you go to a tab where something else was open. So I'm going to Command Tab to Helium from Workspace 3, where there is no browser in Workspace 3. And it switches to Workspace 2 and switches back to this focus. And even funnier, and I can't replicate it now, sometimes when I do this, it will go to the other window and it will flicker between two different windows back and forth a few times before it settles. On top of that, the actual navigation here is so slow. The 3-finger scroll to switch between things is off. Oh, did you see the flicker there where it switched from Helium back to the terminal just when I switched workspaces? Oh, I did it again there where I switched to LAN here. So I'm going to Command Tab to Helium. Right now, before I do that, Desktop 1 is a terminal, Desktop 2 is a browser. Desktop 3 only has terminal and editor. So Terminal 3, Command Tabbing to Helium. It did this right. Watch out when I go back to 1. Are you kidding me? It's not just like little annoyances. These things make this unusable. Let's break this down a bit more from first principles. When your work was split across apps before, it was okay because your mental model was effectively everything here is contained under this project. Your terminal, your editor, and your browser are all part of your mental model for managing this one project. But since a lot of these models are slow and it's possible to run tasks that take over an hour now easily, I often have a job running with Codex that takes 1 to 2 hours just because I have some idea and I wanted to go test it out. That means doing just one thing at a time sucks because you're just sitting there scrolling Twitter as you wait for the build to finish. And by build, I don't mean literally running the build. I mean doing all of the building through the agents. So you end up spinning up other spaces. Maybe you have 3 different branches or work trees for one project, or maybe you're just working on different projects at the same time. That does not work great now, though. Remember, previously, we had multiple apps, multiple tabs and everything, but it was in our head as all of those were grouped under the project. But what happens when you have more than one project, and now you have to split those projects across different apps? Are you going to make different windows for everything? How are you going to manage the different ones? What if terminal for project B dings when project 1's browser is open? How do you get to the right spot when you are dealing with all of these things running in parallel? I'm already seeing the pushback in chat. Things like, what about the context of switching models? What about Alt-Tab on macOS, the custom one? None of that ends up mattering that much, especially the context shifting thing. When you are good at scoping your work and writing down exactly what you have in mind, it's not that hard to switch between because otherwise you're just sitting there staring at it for 20 minutes to 2 hours. This is definitely an ADHD characteristic that this works well for me, but it does. I really like having 2 or 3 projects going with long-running tasks that I can swap between and see what's happening. But when you have to split that context across apps, it gets much more annoying. My dream would be a very simple set of desktops that have their own logical, consistent behaviors such that I could easily go between the 3 and have them set up perfectly. In my dream world, each of these would be a different remote computer that I'm controlling from here. Sadly, just fixing window management isn't enough though, because as bad as this part is, and yeah, sure, window management will help, the horrible split of our projects across our apps, which hurts so much right now. The fact that our terminal, our IDE, and browser are separate is painful. And as I said, there's a lot of sub-problems. How do you choose how you split your terminal up? Do you use tabs or windows? Do you use tmux? What do you do about that? How do you know which terminal window you're in right now? Because a lot of these tools don't show you where you are when you're running something like Claude Code. Like here, where am I? Where in the world am I right now? What project am I inside of with this terminal? No way of knowing. I can go set up a custom status bar to tell me where I am here, but I shouldn't have to fucking do that. It's obnoxious. And when you're looking at a higher level between different browsers, knowing which one has the right GitHub repo is the most annoying thing in the world. The more you do this type of work, the more you start to feel these pain points, especially with stuff like port collision, auth and cookie collision, all of those types of things. Fun fact that I didn't know until recently. Did you know that localhost's app storage data in the browser is shared across all ports? So if you have 3 things running on 3 different ports and they all edit the same cookies, they're all now very broken. What? I did not believe this until I experimented with it myself. But yes, localhost is one host. Thankfully, chat's making me feel less insane for saying this because I had no idea at all. Ports don't count as different hosts, which means multiple things under localhost all get grouped together, which breaks a ton of shit. And that's not even counting the fact that if you use a port that's different from what your project's built for, things like your auth redirection are probably going to break. Because if you set up your auth to redirect to either localhost 3000 or your prod domain, and now you have localhost 3012 because you're working on 3 things in parallel, good luck. It's broken now. And there's just so many of these things constantly. I have been running into this stuff every day I've been working with these tools, and they're getting more and more frustrating every day. In my little essay thing, I wrote an example of like a real world story that I have experienced that I'm sure lots of others have too. Ding. You hear a notification sound from a Claude Code workflow finishing. Which terminal tab was it? I hop around my terminal windows and tabs for a bit. Finally, I can find it. It was Project B. Okay, now which browser was that? Oh, it got assigned to localhost 3001. Now my auth redirects are broken. I can't even sign into it. Which terminal tab is using 3000? Okay, it was Project A. I'll kill it. Where's the tab for Project B's dev server so I can rerun it with the right port? Ding. Another workflow just finished. It briefly grabs your attention, just long enough to lose track of whatever it was that you were just doing. I run into this multiple times a day right now. Feel like I'm going mad. I'm sure at least half of you are thinking of simple solutions to this that are like, oh, it's so easy. Just do X, Y, or Z. Just use Tailscale or move to Linux or all these things. No. Just no. tmux is one that's been recommended to me a lot, which is really funny because I've been using GNU Screen since before most tmux fans were born. I've been using it since I was 12, and now I am old. Multiplexing your terminal is an awesome thing, and I really, really like it. I used tmux as my default terminal setup for the last 8 years, and I only didn't set it up on this MacBook to see how I would feel living without it. And the answer is not much better, not much worse. What about agent orchestration GUIs? As you guys know, I absolutely love the Codex UI, not the Codex CLI. It's fine, but I've been building a ton of stuff here, and you can see I am still doing that. I love this UI. I like it a lot. The fact that I have one app that lets me work between different projects for the generation side is great. But I still end up in the terminal for running the dev servers because the built-in terminal in this app is just garbage. I didn't even mention it in the video because it's so bad, and I don't like built-in terminals. And the diff view, as cool as it is, does not give me enough detail to ship confidently, so I still like to open my editor here and there. And of course, the browser problem. I still have to deal with the browser and all of the weird things around port collisions, redirects, all that and more. So while I love this app, it does not solve these problems. If anything, I feel them more now because solving the terminal side here, like making this part go away, makes me feel like I can do more. And because I feel like I can do more, I start to do more. And then the problems with these two get way worse really fast. Without Codex, I feel pretty hard limited to 2 things at a time. But with Codex, I can do like 4 or 5. But now these problems get way worse. How about an IDE with a built-in browser? This is honestly some of the closest I've seen. Something like Cursor with a built-in terminal, built-in Git workflows, and a built-in browser can get pretty damn far here. But I still need GitHub because I need to see what's going on in the project, other PRs I need to review, stuff like that. And as good as the VS Code extension is, I use that more for doing the detailed review than for seeing what's going on. And then stuff like auth and auth redirects and trying to get your 1Password auth working properly inside of the Cursor browser in-app. If you haven't tried it, you don't know the pain. It's awful. And then, god damn it, like I had to try and get passkeys working in the in-app browser and I almost went mad. And then there's people who sincerely recommend Docker, and I would sincerely recommend they get their heads checked out, because as cool as Docker is, it solves none of this at all. Good question. Why would I need passkeys in dev? Because in dev, I'm still signing in with my Google account, and my Google account is set up via a passkey. Could I set up an entirely different dev environment for all of my projects to make it friendly to the specific text editor and built-in browser that it has? Yeah, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to go to all of my 17 projects and rebuild how they think about the core basics off, just so that I can use them in an in-app browser. That sounds insane to me. And here's my hottest take: background agents. I think a big portion of why we are so hyped on background agents and the idea of sending a Slack message to kick off a job, or having in-app and cursor and codecs, the cloud button that will kick it off into the cloud in the background. I legitimately think a lot of the hype around these features is because of how hard it is to do that type of parallel work locally. It does help with where the code is running and to an extent linking the GitHub part. But I honestly feel the way it does that is by just taking stuff from these other two categories and moving them into the browser as well. I don't think moving the editor experience or the terminal experience into the browser necessarily solves these things. If anything, what I've seen is that these cloud and background agent solutions just end up being a source of a bunch of PRs that don't get touched, because no one is going to look at this again after they run it. But when I'm running locally, I'm actually going to play with the code. I'm going to test how it works. I'm going to be more thorough and detailed when it's on my machine my way. That might change in the future as these background tools get better. But I feel like the background agent stuff is getting most of its popularity because of how bad these problems are. And at the same time, it's only solving the terminal aspect of it, none of the rest. So I know what you're thinking now. Okay, Theo, you must have some genius, great solution to this problem, right? As I said at the bottom of my post, I'm not writing this to announce something or to sound smart. I really just want this fixed. I almost started to build an operating system to do just this. I need to be realistic though. Can't do this one. I don't have the skills, time, or mental bandwidth to figure this out. I wrote this in hopes that I can inspire others to solve this problem. There is no single correct solution. We need lots of them. Experiment. It's never been easier to test out theories, build new workflows, feel this pain deeply, try to fix it, fail, try again, keep trying. We need to figure this out. We need to change how we use computers. I have a lot of feelings about this one, but since I wrote this, something very interesting happened. And I will emphasize, this is not for this video, but you should keep an eye out for another video in the very near future. I got one shot by Neri in Linux. I don't want to spoil this whole video because it's going to be a long and detailed one, but there's a good chance that the next time you see me in a video like this, I might be using something that looks very different. I haven't been this excited about how I use a computer for a very long time, and it's kind of insane that the exact problem I described has a UI that fits it perfectly. And of course, it's far from perfect. Most of these problems still apply. But man, I am so excited to show you guys what I've been doing on Linux. So yeah, crazy. You clicked on a video here for learning about AI stuff, and the answer might be Linux. And I can't wait to share more. But for now, I don't want you distracted by my solution. I want you all to think about your own. Build more in parallel, run into these problems, feel them, experience them. Then, and only then, start exploring how you can solve them yourself. I've built a lot of pieces to try and make these things better myself, but I'm much more excited to see what all of you guys cook, how you think about them, and whether or not you even agree with the problems that I'm perceiving here. There's no reason we should only have one or two options like we do with operating systems. The world of the tools we use and the user experiences we have when building this way should be wide and diverse and exciting. And I am so hyped to see where this all goes. So go build, go play, go find your own solutions, and let us all know how it goes. I can't wait to see what you build. Until next time, peace, nerds.